Well, we are on week number 3 of the study guide, and it was chapter 4 in Dr. Anderson's book and chapters 6 and 7 in the workbook. And, I wanted to start out by saying this is called a chat, so that means we all talk, right? So I'll start out the talking, but everyone talk a lot. So a big majority of our health is made by the choices that we make. And so there's 3 kinds of choices, and last week we talked about 2 of them, which was primary choice, and that's what we want more than things we want. All that. And then secondary choices are the things that we don't really want to do, but we do them to achieve our primary choice. So like losing weight, and then we don't really want to exercise, but we do it anyway so that we can lose weight. And then the third choice that this chapter talked about was fundamental choices. And it gave 3 definitions. It says what defines our state of being, it's what we're willing to fight for, and Robert Fritz, who's Dr. Anderson's behaviorist, said this is the choice upon which all other choice rests. So anyway, I just wanted to chat with you guys about what some of those choices mean to you, and I was going to tell you what I was thinking, but I don't know if I have it right. So tell me what you think. So fundamental choice, I honestly have not made optimal health to be a fundamental choice yet. I think it's a primary choice for me, but I was thinking, what is a fundamental choice for me? For me, one fundamental choice is to be a mother. And it doesn't matter how tired I am, it doesn't matter if I'm sick, it doesn't matter anything, I'm going to do what it takes to be a mother. I don't even have to think about it, it's who I am. And another one that I thought was, I'm a religious person, and it doesn't matter if the whole world was laughing at me, if I'm all alone, if they're all begging me to do things that are against what I believe, nothing would ever persuade me to do anything different. I don't even have to think about it, it's who I am. But that's how I know that I haven't yet made this a fundamental choice. If someone's begging me to eat cheesecake, or even if no one's around and there's chocolate, it's still sort of a diet for me. I'm either on or I am binging, sort of. So is that how you guys see the choices? Or am I not thinking as you've thought of what these choices mean?
No, I would say you're right on, Loretta. That is kind of exactly how I was looking at it. Is there certain things that come, I think, really firsthand to us because we've already made the choice so long ago about some things, like a mother. When you brought that up, that was a great example. We've made the choice so long ago that we've been so committed to it for so long that you don't have to think about it. You just, you just do it. And so I think you're right on.
Okay, good. Does anyone else want to say anything about choices before we move on? Does anyone feel like they have made optimal health as a fundamental choice yet? Could they share with us how they went about doing that?
Well, Loretta, I do want to just say one thing, and that is that I think that we can claim fundamental optimal health as our fundamental choice, whether we're perfect at it or not. Okay.
Okay, good.
I think that we can, as long as it's something that we are working towards, we're trying to establish that feeling, that willing to fight for kind of place, right? I think every day we're learning how to do that better, right? We're learning that, oh my gosh, this crap that I ate last night just doesn't serve me, right? So now I'm willing to make a different choice, right? Or this food makes me feel like this, so now I need to make a different choice. And so line upon line, we get to that point where we can say that we're perfect at making it a fundamental choice. Our fundamental choice. But just because we're not perfect at it doesn't mean that it can't be our fundamental choice. That's how I feel.
Okay, thank you, Christy, because I like that better than how I was thinking, because I was like, how am I ever going to do this?
Oh, and
So
Loretta
just
too.
a step at a time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And two, I think optimal health for us changes because 5 years ago, if I would have looked at where I'm at now, you know, I wanted to be able to. I was running 5 years ago, but I was running at a very overweight in a very overweight body. It wasn't comfortable to me. And so if I were to look at optimal health back then, I probably would say, you know, to me, optimal health is that, you know, I want to just be able to go for a run, and I want to be able to enjoy it. And I want to maybe be wearing like a size 8, and I would like to be, so all these little things that 5 years ago I would have said that is optimal health to me. And the funny thing is that some of those things I have now, and I've worked at them and I have them. But now that I'm here, I realize, okay, like Christy's saying, am I perfect? Absolutely not. But I'm seeing the consequences of my not perfect choices, learning from them, and seeing now where I'm at now. Optimal health is now just a little bit further. There's some higher levels now that I want to try to strive to get to. So I think, you know, I agree with Christy. I agree with both of you. You know, fundamental choice is definitely optimal health. It's just we're all on a different journey towards where optimal health is.
Okay, I really love that because I can see exactly what you're saying, and true. Like, I have reached the goals that I used to think was it. So maybe we'll never reach it because you're right. Maybe it will just always evolve to what we should do next.
I like to say, when people say, well, what does optimal health look like to you? I like to say that I really don't know. I don't know what optimal health looks like to me, because I think that it's something that I will always be trying to better. And, you know, like Amber says, it's like laundry. It's never done. You know, optimal health might not ever be done.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and I think that's why if we keep optimal health as our fundamental choice, then there always is another step that we can be reaching towards. You know, there always is something more. Like, as I read through the entire Habits of Health the last few months, I just, you know, you can get to a point of overwhelm with all the ways you can improve your health. But if you just say, you know what, line upon line, step, you know, one step at a time, I'm getting better, and I'm getting better. And Loretta, you said that, you know, you're a spiritual person, and our spiritual journey is the same. We may be committed to our heaven, our God, you know, but at different times in our lives, we're at different places, and we may reach a little higher. We may gain a little more knowledge. We may, you know, gain a little bit more commitment because of the experiences that we go through.
So I love everything you guys said. I guess what I was thinking more is, do I consider myself a healthy person? And I think I'm still working on that. Like, no, I consider myself a person who's pretending to be healthy.
Yeah.
And so I've got work to do, but I see what you're saying. I'm sorry, I keep trying to make my phone be quiet. So I'm glad we had this discussion, because it was seeming like, oh, I think I should quit because I'm not there. So it is a journey, and I'll remember that. And so thank you for does anyone else have anything they want to add before we go on?
Well, I was just thinking.
Rachel? Oh, who said that?
Deb?
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
I was just thinking, where I'm kind of just learning so much and just starting out, I can't even picture what optimal health is, but yet at the same time, I'm so encouraged because I'm feeling better and things are going better, and I can't say that I even have an ideal of what optimal health is, but I like what's happening. So.
Okay, I guess I'm right with you. So, good. Yeah, it just feels good. So I was going to tell Cindy. Is that Cindy Hill? Like, I can't see you.
It is, yeah. I just came in from yard work. You can't recognize me.
Well, you're kind of off my screen. And Rachel, hello. And then someone's on the phone. Who just joined us on the phone?
I'm on the phone. It's Jolynn. Can you hear me?
Jolynn. Hello. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. So you guys speak up and talk. And if you want to
Okay.
talk about something that we're not on the subject of, I don't care, because that's sort of how discussions go. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about was then the chapter kind of went into structural tension charts. And I know I've talked to Jolynn about this. We both, when we were losing our weight, once we hit the structural tension chart, it almost overwhelmed us and we sort of quit reading the books for a while. But since then, I've realized how easy structural tension charts are, and I make them for every area in my life. I have them for everything, and I just go over each one and I make them. Has anyone here used structural tension a lot? You have, Natalie?
Yeah, I use it. Yeah.
Okay. So I sort of talked about this a little bit, but my thoughts were very fuzzy last time. But when I went to Florida, I listened to Lisa Castro talk about this, and I just wanted to kind of tell you what she said. Because after I listened to her is when I started making structural tensions easier for myself. She just talked about how you always start out and you create a vision of what you want in your head. And you really imagine it. So she gave the example, she was going to make this romantic dinner for her husband. And she was going to have, and so she imagined what the dinner could be like. She was going to have china and crystal, and she was going to have this beautiful tablecloth with cloth napkins. And she was going to put roses as the centerpiece, and she was going to have soft lights and soft music. And she was going to cook steak and his favorite dessert with pie and ice cream and maybe sparklers coming out. And she imagined this whole dinner. And then she went to what her actual reality was. And she had some hamburger in the refrigerator, and her tablecloth was dirty, and she didn't own any crystal or china, and she didn't have any candles to make soft light. So then she started saying, you know, well, I could just make a hamburger, but she already had this vision, and it wasn't good enough anymore. So, well, I'll go to the store, and I'll buy candles, and I'll buy steak, and I'll call my sister, and I'll borrow some china, and I'll go put the tablecloth in the washing machine. And she created what was in her head, the picture. But then she did it the other way around. She just started with what she had. Well, she had hamburgers, so okay, I guess I'll just do burgers. And I don't have any china, so I guess I'll do paper plates. And the two meals that ended up were completely different, and it's just where she started. So you got to start with your dream in mind, not where you're at, and really visualize in your head what you're going to get. So, and then she could start on the bottom. And I think I lost 80 pounds, and then I decided I wanted to just lose 10 more. I mean, how hard should that be? And I lost 80 in 6 months, and I've been trying to lose 10 more in a year. And I think it's because I don't have in my head what I would look like, because I don't even think I could get there. So I never made a picture. So I'm always just down here groveling where I'm really at. Oh, my stomach still pokes out. How could I dare tell someone I'm a health coach? And I think it's all about, I started at the wrong end of my structural tension chart when I made that goal. Does anyone want to add, or did that make anyone think of anything they want to talk about? Okay, no. So I'll go on. In the workbook, in chapter 7, I think it is. Let me get it. I don't know. Oh, on page 50, he has this picture of this guy, like, trying to stay above water, holding this big rock. And he talks about when we look at the ceiling, we see our goals, but when we look at the ground, all we can see is the concepts we hold. And so we have to let go of the concepts and just focus on what we're trying to create. I thought it was really good. You know, he talks about, of course, problems come up. When your house gets a flood, you turn off the water, you clean up the water, you call a plumber, you get it fixed, and then you go on. And that's what we need to do with our goals, too. Problems will arise, so address them, but then just go on looking at the ceiling. And I don't know how many of you heard Weldon Long when he came, but that changed my life forever. He was in prison, and he had been in prison several times, and he just saw himself as a criminal. And so he decided he was going to change his life. So what he started doing is every morning and every night he would just go into, like, I can't think of the word. He just went inside of himself and started imagining what he was like. And he started imagining that he was a man who was honest and had integrity. And he also imagined what he would do. He would have a job. He would write books. He imagined what he would have. He imagined that he would own a home and stuff. And when he got out of, and he did that every night and every day for several years while he was in prison, and he started in his head thinking that was really him. And he talked about how when things would happen in the prison, he started reacting to them as if he was an honest man full of integrity. And when he got making choices, because that's what he believed he was, and his whole life changed. And it became exactly what he imagined it to be. And after I went to him, I started doing that every night with my children. We would just put on soft music, and for 15 minutes, we would just imagine what we wanted to be like, what we wanted to do. And I just realized as I was preparing for this, every single thing I imagined, I achieved. So Natalie, I guess it's time for me to think of a new optimal health goal, because, and my kids would say to me, wow, I'm more confident. It really changed their lives too, just to believe that. Okay, guys, talk about something for a minute, because I'm about out of what I wanted to talk about. Okay, well,
Loretta, I'll talk
thank
for
you.
a second. One thing, like, I love to hear people's, like, aha. Like, what did you get out of the chapter? Like, what was aha to you? And I think for me, my aha, even though I've read this a few times, it's always, for me, I always go back to those daily choices. It's really, sometimes we look so far ahead that we overwhelm ourselves. And so really it just comes down to your structural tension, knowing what you want most, where you're at now, and then it's just the daily choices are what takes you up to what you want most, right? So for me, it's just the daily choices. And I've been doing where you sit down at night. I do this. I love this. And I do it mainly because it's a busy time of year for all 6 of my kids, and it's just nuts. And so I sit down and I just look at my day the next day, and I look and go through the calendaring, but I've started adding in, looking and planning my little meal right then. So the night before, it's like, okay, I know that I have this, and this will work for, my breakfast. I know what Medifast meals to be, so I go through and just kind of plan that out that night. And then when the day gets overwhelming, it's done. So for me, the aha of the chapter was the simple little daily choices and making sure I follow through with what I've already planned. So anyway, that was my aha. But I would love to hear somebody else's ahas.
Good idea.
Well, I got on after you guys were kind of finishing up the subject of fundamental choice, but that was that no matter how many structural tension charts we make, because structural tension charts are based on your primary choice and your secondary steps to goals to help reach that primary step. But unless it's founded on a foundation of your fundamental choice, it's not going to ever take you anywhere, because ultimately you've built on a weak foundation. And so I realized my weakness has been I want to achieve certain goals, but yet underlying all of that is more been to be in a certain pant size or whatever, and not making that fundamental decision. And that was my big aha for me.
Good. I think I had the same aha as you, Rachel. Okay, I also thought, well, I did listen to a support call, well, it's a Habits of Health call, and a lot of my clients sort of struggle with maintenance, and this woman has kept her weight off for over 13 years, and she was talking about how they still have to have like a structural tension chart with a goal. They can't just think they're gonna just go, oh, I made it, and now I'm gonna maintain. Like, they've always got to be trying to achieve something new, like more muscle or improving their stamina or something. You've always got to have a goal if you're gonna be able to maintain. So I thought that was really interesting.
Can I add something about that? When I was up at Sundance, Robert Fritz, the one who talks about structural tension charts, like he compares that, like, the goal setting, is like a rubber band. You're stretching yourself, the structural tension. And so when that rubber band, so basically there's that tension, right? So as you get closer to your goal, the easiest place once you're there is to actually go back to where you were. So that's why he says you need to stretch that rubber band again and set that next goal so that you can keep moving forward instead of doing this thing. So I thought that was interesting, that once we reach our goals, we're more likely to go back if we don't reset.
Yeah, that's really good. What did you guys think of the framing? Like, the first time through this book, so I'm only on the second time, I didn't even think much about the framing. Well, it's the workbook. I haven't spent a lot of time in. But I thought that was really interesting because when you're in a close-up frame, like, I'm in close-up frame a lot, I think, and I'm just like, right now I need to eat fat because, like, my thing's cheese. If I eat cheese, I will feel happy right this second, and I need that because right now I feel stressed or whatever. But then if you're in the medium frame, you see, like, the whole picture. And if I would stay more in that frame, I could remember that the minute I swallow the cheese, I don't feel better. I feel worse, and I need more cheese to make me feel better. And so then that goes more with Natalie's choices. What she was talking about is just the daily choices. When I'm in the medium frame, I can make wiser daily choices. And then the long range frame, that's so far away that it's just someday. I'm going to do that someday. I tend to, I don't know. I thought that was really interesting. I'm going to try now to go, oh, what frame am I in? Let me step back and get in the medium frame before I really make this choice. Mm-hmm. So that was something new for me that I just didn't notice, I guess, the first time through that book.
I love the frames of desire. Because I love that second one because it really focuses on our aspirations and values. What is it that we want most? What is it that we're working towards here? And that's that keeps us in a creation place instead of in a victim place, right? Instead of in a place of blame. I like to think of the first one as the frame of blame. Where it's the stress or the everybody, the situation we're in or whatever, that we're giving that accountability to somebody else or something else instead of saying, this is my responsibility. And if I want this, then I'm going to make this choice. So I didn't get it at first either, but when I had to teach it, I started to love it.
Yeah. This was really good for me because it forced me to think about some things. I'm like, oh, I don't get that, and skip over it,
Yeah. So I have a couple of things I could share, Loretta.
Thank you, because I'm done.
I love, chapter 7. So I was looking for the quote again. Now I turn back to chapter 6. Okay, so it says at the bottom of page 48, freeing yourself from yourself. As you start on your journey towards a healthy weight, it's important to be aware that self-talk can sabotage your progress. That constant chatter in your head telling you how you're doing, how you should be, what you should do. With self-talk, you create your own reality, and often it's a false one. If you constantly tell yourself you'll never lose weight, chances are you won't. In fact, you may not even know what you're subconsciously programming into your brain until your actions prove it. Instead, try to focus on your daily activities, actions, and choices, on the things you want to bring into your life. Focusing on the things you want to create helps you move toward your goals. And I thought it was interesting. I was listening to a talk given by one of our church leaders this morning, and he says this. He says, when our attention is mainly focused on our daily successes or failures, we may lose our way, wander, and fall. So if we apply this to our health, we need to make those daily choices, and they're important. But he goes on to say, keeping our sights on higher goals will help us become better. Okay, so keeping that long-term focus with those reactions, of course, is going to be what's going to really help us get there. And he says, even those who set their hearts upon these long-term goals, or these divine goals, he calls them, may still occasionally stumble, but they will not be defeated.
I think that is because they made it a fundamental choice. I think it's back to that foundation thing. That's really good.
Yeah. So just wanted to share those couple of things I've been really focusing on, making sure that staying my fundamental choice and staying in that medium frame lately, because sometimes it's a challenge.
Yeah, I think, you know what? I think all the time it's a challenge, right? Like we have created these habits for, our whole childhood and some of our adulthood lives, and we're not going to overcome them overnight. So yes, I think fundamental and having that foundation, but I think it is so important to not beat yourself or myself up when something goes wrong. Just like we talked about, take a step back, get into a different frame, and then make the choice from then on. And what's in the past is in the past. And I think for me, if I continue to keep dwelling on something that I've done wrong, then I just keep going down that road for the rest of the day. But if I can stop myself, then I can move forward and not goof up the whole day. So, yeah.
I think that's what must cause my binge eating, is like, oh, well, I blew it. I better really blow it now.
Yeah.
Hey, Loretta.
Yes.
I'd like to make a comment on that because I'm the king of binge. But lately, I've come to the realization that binging doesn't make me feel any better. And so I say, well, I might as well feel bad and not binge, because the binging's not going to make me feel any better. That chocolate or that whatever I binge on is not going to make me feel any better.
That's really good. That's getting in the right frame, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
that's really good.
And it doesn't. You're really. So I think what you've been telling us is all very, very good information and things that I really needed to know and to relearn and to rethink and just push forward.
Maybe one of the steps in our structural tension chart when it comes to eating, because I use them for all different kinds of things in my life too, but when it comes to eating and getting to our weight loss goal, maybe one of our steps needs to be, I'm thinking, I will, if I choose to eat something off plan in a weak moment, I will realize and stop, and I won't continue down that path, because I think it goes back to
throw some protein with it.
yeah. Balance it with a carb. Rachel, that's an excuse. No, I'm teasing. But I think that we need to plan in our structural tension that there are times that we're a little bit human, and not that they're right, but that we have a structural tension plan for when that happens, so that we don't binge for the rest of the day. We don't say, okay, I goofed up today, I'm not a healthy person at all. Even healthy people once in a while do something that's not completely healthy. The key to the healthy people that do that is that they don't continue it. It's just kind of like a quick little brief thing, and they're back on their way. And so I think maybe I've never thought about it before actually. See, aha moment right here on our Zoom call, is that if I plan for how I'm going to react to that in my structural tension, then I'm probably going to overcome it a lot quicker than I would if I just thought, okay, you know, today's over. I've already goofed up. So I like that. Thanks, ladies and men.
Man.
Yeah.
This is Jolynn. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I like what you're saying, Natalie, and it made me think about what Loretta was saying at the beginning of the call about you have to visualize where you want to be, but it also helps to visualize yourself in that situation. Like, okay, so next time I'm confronted by the donuts at work. If I do eat one, you know, like you say, then I'm not just going to keep eating them. But you know, maybe I found what helps me is like they give free donuts away at work every Saturday. So I go in there with the decision and in my mind that I'm not going to go in that center of where I work. I'm not going to go buy the donuts. I'm not going to tempt myself. I'm going to be happy over here in the salad end. And if I can mentally picture myself doing it, then I have an easier time. Otherwise, I'm walking by the donuts, taking one and putting it in my mouth and not doing that stop in the stop challenge shoes. I challenge all the time and make the wrong choice. I forget to stop. But picturing helps. So, and like you say, putting that in your structural tension chart, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So, can I just give one last thing? I'm going to give the wrap up from this talk I listened to, and I'm going to apply it to us. So I'm going to throw in a couple different words just because to apply it to us. My dear friends, no matter how many times you have slipped or fallen, rise up. Your destiny is a glorious one. Stand tall. Walk in the light of optimal health. You are stronger than you realize. You are more capable than you can imagine. You can do it now. And so anyway, I needed that this week as I listened to it. And I think it'll help us all to remember that, you know, if we're making this our fundamental choice, we don't have to do it alone, but we can certainly be successful. And Loretta, any final comments? We have about 3 minutes left.
No, thank you, Christy. That was wonderful. That fits so perfect. So.
Okay, we do have someone who joined us, maybe via their phone. Share with us who you are. Okay, well, we want to thank everybody for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.